Percy. Sláinte, how do you do, buckaroos? How the heck are you? I'm going to be Tom the Whiskey Whisperer for this particular Tuesday. We're going to do two cocktails, two for Tuesday cocktails. Happy hours right now would be about happy hour. Happy hour is kind of very dependent on when you live. Remember in California, a lot of places did two happy hours. A lot of places would do like 1 to 4, and then 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. Now here we see a lot of 2 to 5, 3 to 6, 4 to 6, 4 to 7 kind of thing. But anyways, nevertheless, I've got a classic here, a classic Manhattan. Finishing up my Maker's 46, a French oak. To figure this be a nice one to have a Manhattan with. It is at 94 proof. What I've got in here is a pretty good amount of this whiskey. I started by measuring, and then I said, screw it. I had just a little bit left, so I just poured what was left of the bottle. Chilled her up good. I've got about ½ ounce of sweet vermouth and cherry bitters. I went with cherry bitters. I'm going to go with a big cherry note on this. The summertime Manhattan, if you will. And once again, Sláinte. Jason, I'm going to post your comment, bud. Jason says, cheers, Tom. Maker's Marcus, most excellent. The 46 version is amazing. Yeah, those French oak staves really provide a lot more vanilla notes. It makes it a little deeper. Yeah, which makes it perfect for a Manhattan. You could use it for an old fashioned as well, but I really like the depth for a Manhattan. I've been doing a lot of Manhattans because it's been really hot. I think of a Manhattan more of a fall cocktail, but I was kind of in the mood for one. Because deep down, I do prefer a straight up cocktail. Even that big ice cube, it doesn't melt very fast, but still and all, I just prefer that straight up cocktail. Uh, Mercy, that is delicious. Yeah, I was debating on what whiskey to use. I said, hell, I only got a little bit of that left. We might as well finish her off. So my next cocktail is going to be a little different. Kind of came up with that one on the fly. We'll go over that one later, but it doesn't quite have a name yet. It's not complicated by any means. Anybody that knows me knows I'm all about the simple cocktail, right? I think the classic cocktails like a Manhattan or a classic old fashioned were great, and they're classics for a reason because they were simple. It seems like the under 30 crowd, right, they tend to want to make things a lot more complicated than they need to be. I think for them, it's showing off skills. Look what I learned. But as an older guy, somebody who's maybe been there where they were at one time and then has grown. It's like cooking. You learn basic dishes. Oh, great. Then you start learning complicated dishes. You start wanting to put this, that, and the other. But I think if you ask almost any older chef, let's say over 40 chef, they're going to tell you their favorite dishes are the simple ones. Not necessarily easy to fix, but those that don't take many ingredients. Because you don't need 100 ingredients to make a great dish, and you don't need 100 ingredients to make a great cocktail. And that's why I do love the classics, a lot like a Manhattan here. I got that classic dark cherry in the bottom. If you can see it, my finger was covered there. Let me see if I can get that up there where you can see it. Classic dark Amarena cherry. No, I'm not using the Luxardo or the Maraschka. They're both great, but they're both very pricey. What I've got in here is damn near the same thing, and you'd never know the difference if I didn't tell you for about half the price. So looks just like them, tastes just like them. My only rule is I don't have a problem with folks spending less for their cherries. My issue is never use that bright red one. There are other dark cherry brands out there that are just as good as the Maraschka or the Luxardo, in my opinion. You just don't use that bright red one in there. It was several years ago now. There was an episode of a guy who was supposed to be this expert bartender that was known for his Manhattan. Known worldwide and famous for his Manhattan. And then they put that bright red cherry in it. I'm thinking, man, you've got consultants for this, that, and the other. Why don't you have a cocktail consultant? Because anybody should have been able to tell you you never put a bright red maraschino cherry in a Manhattan. I almost had to cuss there, but boy, that one, ooh, that just gets my ire up, man. I had to come outside, even though, man, it is hot out here. I didn't realize how hot till I just started sitting here for a few minutes. It is brutal, especially in my garage, my bar area, or Studio One, as I like to call it. Because there's no air moving right here. And the backyard is a little bit better because there is a breeze, but it's easier to set up here. And I like like the setting better, but it is a bit of a bitch, I will admit. Between the heat and the bugs, but I just didn't feel like doing one inside at the moment. Uh, but I do love me a Manhattan. I will tell you though, as much as I love to use small distillery products, I will tell you that this product is just incredible in a Manhattan. I can see why some commercial establishments use this product, or makers in general. I see a lot of Manhattans used, but the 46 in some nicer establishments, more upper scale, maybe nicer. What's the wrong word to use there, Tom? What do you mean we're not nice? Anyway, I don't typically order this cocktail out, and I only do when I'm on vacation. Because other than that, I scrutinize it too much. When I'm on vacation, okay, that's vacation money. I can splurge a little. And I kind of gauge the price, right? I look at the price and I look at what whiskey they're using. If I can justify that, right? I say, okay, they're charging 15, but they're using Maker's French instead of regular Makers. Okay, I'm on vacation, I'm gonna buy it, right? It kind of depends, right? They're using Buffalo Trace and they want 15. There ain't no fucking way in hell. Eagle Rare, nah, ain't gonna happen. Wouldn't pay more than 10 than an Eagle Rare Manhattan. But again, it's personal preference. But in my mind, I'm looking at price points on the shelf, thinking, okay, this is what this bourbon would cost. This is what you're charging me. This is a better upscale bourbon or rye. Yeah, 15 is this. This is a special occasion. I'm going to have a Manhattan. I'm going to pay it. But if you're using a bourbon or a rye that I think is, worth, it's not worth as much as you're trying to charge for it, then I'm gonna, no, that shit ain't gonna fly today. That dog ain't gonna hunt, as they say in these neck of the woods quite a lot. Uh, uh, this was nice. So I was kind of surprised. I don't know that I've made a Manhattan with this Makers. Now I'm at the end of the bottle because I bought it for a specific reason to do a certain cocktail. I don't want to get into it at the moment, but nevertheless, boy, this is really good though. It does work well as a Manhattan. It really that sweet vermouth really mellows it out, and along those same lines, the whiskey mellows out that sweet vermouth, right? But then I did change the game a little bit. I didn't use a standard Angostura, which adds more bitterness. I used cherry bitters, which it would bring out the fruitiness in the cocktail to make it, well, from my perspective, making it a lighter, more summer version of a classic cocktail. And you can do that by just changing those bitters. Just changing that one ingredient changes your cocktail entirely. That's why I have several on hand. I've got plum, grapefruit, black walnut, toasted almond, cocoa. I've got more than that. I've got, what else I got? I got root beer. I got rhubarb. I'm trying to figure out a root beer cocktail. Working on the simple syrup. I got to get that mastery down for the fall because I really want to put that cocktail together, but it's going to take me a second. Boy, this cocktail's delicious, though. And flies. I need to get me a new fly swatter. I just broke my last one, but I haven't replenished it yet. And these flies seem to know that I don't have a fly swatter. That he's unarmed, man. We can attack. That bastard's unarmed. I want some bug spray there. It's not designed to kill flies. I think it just irritates them more than anything. I've noticed before that when I've had a fly swatter, it slows them down just enough where I can hit them. anyway, I digress. Keeping it simple at the Whiskey Whisperer house tonight. I was really tired. I had a day off and I worked 2 in a row, and they weren't long shifts, but I had a long stretch before that. I just don't think I quite recovered. I just really was hurting yesterday. I was hurting so bad after I got off work yesterday that I didn't even have anything to drink, man. I usually do a Monday night video. I was tired. I just took my took my blood pressure pill and a muscle relaxer. Went to bed. I didn't drink at all, because I never drink when I can't enjoy it. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Is I don't drink when I'm incredibly depressed, or if I know I'm going to get that way, or in the case of yesterday, if I'm just too tired or in too much pain to enjoy it. I thought about it. I almost did. Said, no, you're hurting too bad. You're not going to really enjoy it. Because for me, it's the experience, right? It's picking out the right product. It's figuring out the cocktail or the beer, and picking the right product and putting everything together. It's a whole experience for me. It's not just having a quick drink and getting a buzz. It's the whole thing. So no, I'm too tired. I'm not going to enjoy it. So we're just not going to do it tonight. But I got a little rest. I just said, okay, we'll do a video tonight. So I'm off tomorrow as well. So we're going to play tomorrow by ear. I just didn't feel like getting out, going somewhere. I have some friends that usually go out on Tuesdays, and I really love hanging with them. But I just had some things I had to get done earlier today. And by the time I got home, I was just feeling really tired and spent for some reason. I think a lot of it's got a lot of this going on, right? Sinus. No, not stress, but yes, I have a sinus going on. I think it's got me kind of. I'm not really feeling sick. I'm just kind of feeling a little lethargic. I've taken all the allergy medicine I can possibly take, and that's just barely cut anything. Man, allergies are just brutal this year in the Ozarks. Let me finish this one up. I'm gonna step off camera for a second, grab cocktail number 2, so bear with me. I shall return. Don't go anywhere. Once again, Slancha. Oh, I lost you. You left me, damn it. So I'm using the bourbon Rubenesque from Wood Hat. It's a 61.7, or whether that be 122.4. It's a single barrel cask strength bourbon. I really enjoy it. It's really a neat drinking bourbon, to be honest with you, but I really wanted to try it in this capacity. So here's what I did here. I had an idea. We had some fresh basil outside. We had some lemons. So I made a basil lemon simple syrup. Now, I didn't turn it into an old fashioned for a couple reasons. I didn't want the large cube. I didn't want to add the bitters. So for that reason, it's not an old fashioned. So I'm not sure what to call it. But anyway, I've got 2.5 ounces of the bourbon. I've got 1 ounce of the simple syrup. I've got lemon peel and fresh basil for the garnish there. And that really gives me a very aromatic summer cocktail. I was thinking, lemon basil, that sounds good. Wow, and wow, that is delicious. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I can't call it an old fashioned because I'm not using the large cube or the bitters. I'm just want to keep it simple. So I've got to come up with a name because that's really good, man. Yeah, because I thought it'd be good as is. I didn't think I needed bitters, and I really was feeling more of a straight up cocktail. So I've got this seriously chilled, and I had enough basil in that simple syrup. And then I put a nice piece in there, a rather large piece, for a garnish, and that really added to the aromatics of this particular cocktail. Man, I don't even know what to say. That is just freaking gorgeous. See if I can adjust my garnish here. Kind of got sloppy on me as I was killing it. There we go. It went the wrong way, man. Now, let me change my garnish up. Change that garnish, Tom. Anyway, man, that is really good. I would never know this was a cask bourbon in here. It's so approachable and easy to drink with just that one extra, with that 1 ounce of the simple syrup in there. Now you can adjust it. I don't like my cocktails as sweet as most do, and I will freely acknowledge that. That's why I'm always sweeter than I like them. Trying to get a bug there, little bastard. God, darn, that is good. I almost used a cuss word, but man, that's delicious, man. That really is. This cocktail's definitely a keeper. Might have to have one later. Wow, that is really good. I wasn't sure, and I'm not again. I got to figure out in the grand scheme of things how it fixes. It really needs to be a straight up cocktail, served in more of a glass that I would serve a Manhattan in. To be honest with you, um, but I hadn't made it before, so I thought, huh. But now I got to come up with a name with the whiskey and the basil and the lemon. Wow, that's good. Oh. So, anyways, two for Tuesday. I thought I'd come on here, have a couple of cocktails, relax. I'll probably come on again later this evening. But I want to do a happy hour video, so I want to come on now. I'll come on for an evening video. Again, I'm probably going to do the same thing though. Two for Tuesday cocktails. Haven't been feeling beer a lot lately, and I know that's terrible for me to say as somebody known as a beer whisperer, but just yeah, it's really been just not sitting well. I've been having issues digesting. I've been feeling really bloated. And the cocktails aren't doing that to me. And then when it's hot, the cocktails are just lighter, right? I don't want anything heavy at this particular moment. I may change my mind come this evening after dinner and all, but I doubt it. Anyway, I digress. Let me wrap this up here. Keeping dinner really simple tonight. Me and my wife had we had wife had just picked up because she knew I was putting a lot of hours, so she picked up this already made macaroni and cheese at Sam's. So I just gotta reheat that or heat it up, I guess. I did do a topping, right? Because it looks like it's got a lot of cheese on it. I typically like to add extra cheese, but my wife isn't as cheesy as I am, so I won't. But I did melt some butter into some panko and let that sit. So I'm going to add just a little bit of a topping on it to give you that crunch because she likes that little crunch. But I've been debating on a protein, and I'll share that with you. So as a kid, there was five of us kids and my mom and dad. So to feed seven people, and I didn't realize that till I got older. But my mom and dad used to make this dish, which it was just little. It was a version of classic German frikadelle, but I think they just used the patties. I don't think they added the other stuff to make it the frikadelle. To be honest with you, but it was basically just little hamburger patties, fried, very hard and seared on each side, and then served with whatever. Wouldn't typically be macaroni and cheese because Dad didn't like macaroni and cheese, but it was sometimes it was cream macaroni, sometimes it was just boiled potatoes or mashed potatoes. But anyway, that was the protein, which is these little hamburger patties. So I'm debating whether doing that. Just for nostalgia's sake, or again for nostalgia's sake, I have some very good salmon up there. So canned salmon. So doing, the classic, poor folk salmon patties with the mac and cheese. I'm debating between those two proteins. So anyway, I digress. I'll give you the skinny later. I'll give you the skinny later, man. Anyway, I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, man. All right, good guys, Solange. Thanks for tuning in, folks.